Shalom Shari Kodesh. We've come to the end of yet another week during this pandemic. I wanted to talk about a holiday that we observed this week, though. Little known holiday called Lag BaOmer, which began on Monday night. Lag BaOmer literally means the 33rd day of the Omer. And in recent years has taken a life of its own. It's celebrated by bonfires and a pilgrimage to a place where a rabbi spent a lot of time in a cave. His name was Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Here, my background is actually the cave where he was in this famous story in the Talmud. One day, he and his son had to exile themselves to a cave due to a Roman emperor who tried to capture them. A miracle occurred in the cave. A spring burst forth out of the ground. A carob tree grew out of nowhere. So in other words, they didn't need Instacart or Uber Eats to get their food. They had food, water, and Torah. They thought that was all they needed. They lived in this cave for 12 years, and they emerge to see men plowing and sowing their fields. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai cannot believe his eyes. He sees Jews not studying Torah, but working in the real world. And he says, they forsake eternal life and busy themselves with the temporal life. Every place they turned at that moment with their eyes immediately burned. God's voice comes down from heaven and says, did you go out to destroy my world? Return to your cave. And so they returned. A year goes by and they venture out of the cave. This time they see a man with two myrtle branches. They ask him, what are you doing with this? And he says, I'm bringing them home for Shabbat. They represent the two aspects of Shabbat, Shamor, to observe Shabbat, and Zachor, to remember. And then the Talmud says their minds were put at ease. So what does this story teach us? To me, it tells us about the destruction we can bring to the world when we remain outside of the world, out of touch with others. And this time, more than maybe any other time, we're in danger of this. The more that we are closed off, the more our eyes can turn to burn others, the less understanding we are of others who may be different than us. The man they find isn't a rabbi. He's just a normal Jew. And perhaps they see that their way isn't the only way to be, that they must be with others in order to truly touch the divine. During this pandemic, our congregation has made some decisions maybe we normally would not have made regarding ritual. We've never considered streaming our Shabbat services or having Minyan online. But due to this pandemic, we've made these changes. Our Shabbat services have also changed. We don't have a Torah with us. So we don't have the drama of the Olim coming up and coming down in those discussions. We don't have that Torah table. Instead, we have congregants reading from their Chumash. And starting last week, we started a new innovation, a discussion between every aliyah. Every congregant has the ability to share their Torah with the community. In this way, we learn from others. Students become teachers and teachers become students. I hope that you can join us this Shabbat as we are led by our students, by our religious school children, as we have our final religious school Shabbat, led by our students, our graduating students as we honor them, and along with our director, Zach Goldstein, and our teacher, Marla Linda Baum. And tomorrow morning, we'll gather on Zoom for Shabbat services. In addition to our Torah discussion, I will teach more about the story of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who sheltered in place, comparing it to the journey that Bnei Israel had in the wilderness in Behar-Behukotai, this week's double parsha, where they were also sheltered, and what lessons we can learn during our own time in our homes. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom, and I look forward to seeing you out of the cave, and not exactly in real life, but on Zoom as we learn and grow with each other. Shabbat Shalom.